The 2025 NFL season is almost here. With that, we need to keep an eye on some of these rookies ready to make an impact. This year's class is loaded with potential, and that brings us to Mike Renner's Rookie Watch. We got quarterbacks already pushing for starting jobs, first rounders defending. They're flying all over around camp. Don't be surprised when we see a few of these newcomers making a name for themselves. Mike Renner, himself, joining us now on HQ. We're going to look at 5 different rookies to watch this preseason. So let's jump right into it. So we're going to start off with the Chiefs. So the Chiefs right now, they're in full protect Patrick Mahomes mode. They've added a lot of young talent and a young tackle to the mix. What have you seen so far from Josh Simmons that excites you?
Well, going back to last year's tape at Ohio State, he was the most polished tackle in this draft class. I think pretty much all the evaluators I talked to had a very similar take on this guy. It's that if he hadn't torn his patellar tendon in his knee, he could have been the first tackle off the board. That's how good his tape was through 6 weeks. He allowed only 1 pressure over that span. But then that injury is a pretty devastating one for offensive linemen. There's been people who have just never come back from that injury to play again. And so that's why in April, when he wasn't quite fully healed yet, some people were like, we're just not going to take the chance. And that's why falls 31. But this is reminiscent of when another guy with his career in jeopardy fell to the Chiefs, is a day 1 starter, and became now the highest paid guard in the NFL in Trey Smith. It feels very similar to that, because if this guy can get on the football field, he will be their starting left tackle. If he is healthy, he is better than Jalen Moore. He is better than Kingsley Suamadi-Ia. He is better than Wanya Morris. But that's just the biggest thing, is how is his health going to progress? I'm looking forward to watching him this preseason to find out.
Yeah, we talk about how health is really the most important thing, and that kind of brings us to our next guy who also was dealing with some health issues last season with Michigan, and that's Cardinals cornerback Will Johnson. Arizona's defense, really, they need playmakers. They found one in Will Johnson, that's for sure. What makes him stand out? How big of a role could he earn right away?
Yeah, I couldn't believe this guy fell to the 2nd round, given what his tape was like at Michigan. I mean, that national championship year, he was probably the most valuable player on that Michigan team. That entire season, he allowed only 17 catches. You watch some of these reps here, and these are no joke. I mean, that was against Marvin Harrison, one of those. These are high-level cornerback reps. He's physical, he understands the position, and he's a different type of cat than what they got there at corner in Arizona. They have a lot of smaller, faster corners. He is a bigger, physical press man type of corner. And if he's healthy, and it was turf toe last year, it was a knee injury going into the draft that dropped him down in the 2nd round. But if he's healthy, which he looks like there, this guy is very well could have been the best cornerback in this past draft. I mean, that's how good his tape was when he was healthy back in 2023. So the Cardinals, if he's, balling out in preseason, he will be a starter, and he could be their CB1 early on this season.
Yeah, he is a pleasure to work with as well. Just pointing that out there. Next up, we're looking at the Patriots, and they're desperate for offensive firepower over there. Kyle Williams getting a lot of buzz. What kind of impact do you think he can make?
I think he could be one of Drake May's early go-to guys. This is the most wide-open receiver room in the NFL. There's no wide receiver 1. There's no wide receiver 2. It's just an amalgamation of guys. Who's going to win? It's like a pure open season there at the wide receiver position. And I think Kyle Williams has a great shot of earning one of those top 2 target spots in the offense because of what I saw at Washington State and what I saw at the Senior Bowl. He was a guy who, he's on the smaller side, 5'11", 180 pounds, coming out of Washington State. When he went to the Senior Bowl, I don't think he lost a rep in the one-on-ones. His twitchiness, his ability to get off the line of scrimmage and get down the football field. I know he only ran a 4.41 at the combine, but his GPS times, he was the fastest wide receiver of anyone at the Senior Bowl, and that included multiple guys who ran the 4.3. So this guy has that next gear to take the top off the defense. And if you watch Drake May at all as a rookie, that's where he can excel. I think early on, this is a guy who's going to make a name for himself in the NFL.
It seems like every year there's these players that kind of force their way onto the field, and especially at the running back position. Looking at Jakori, Kroski, Merritt next, he could be that guy. What's the scouting report with him? How might he fit into Washington's backfield?
He was such a weird prospect coming out because he started his career at Alabama State. He was like 175 pounds coming into college. Started his career there, transfers to New Mexico State, 2 seasons there, transfers to Arizona this past year, 1 game, goes over 100 yards in that 1 game, only 13 carries. All of a sudden, he's ruled ineligible, doesn't play the rest of the season for Arizona. So comes out, would have been much more of a household name if he had gotten that full season. But then he goes to the Shrine Bowl, and he's the Shrine Bowl MVP of that entire week of practices. So the guy has real deal talent. He tested incredibly well. He has great feet, great burst, and just something that none of those Commanders backs have. Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson Jr., Chris Rodriguez. This is a slower backfield at this point in time. He has juice. And you want juice if you have Jaden Daniels at quarterback. So I think he has a great shot of getting at least a running back by committee position there in Washington.
Definitely want juice out there. All right, last but not least, a guy that we've heard his name time and time again. All eyes are on rookie quarterback Shador Sanders. He's getting the start in the preseason opener against the Panthers. What are you hearing out of Cleveland, and what are your expectations for Sanders this season?
Yeah, you couldn't do this segment without talking about him. He's getting the start this weekend. And I actually want to talk about him from like a pure football perspective. We talk about everything else, but I want to see how he handles the pressure of the NFL. Like literal pressure, not the mental pressure. I want to see how he handles pressure because that was the biggest thing coming out of Colorado. The guy took the most sacks in college football over the past 2 seasons. And that article came out earlier this week with Sean Payton talking about how he evaluates quarterbacks and how much value he puts on sacks being a quarterback stat, that the best ones can control when they take sacks and when they don't, even behind a bad offensive line. And yeah, his offensive line was bad there at Colorado, but guess what? He got drafted by the Cleveland Browns. It ain't getting much better here for you in the NFL. So that's what I want to see. Has he learned how to get rid of the ball, avoid those negative plays, and obviously keep the offense on schedule?
All right. Well, preseason starts tonight. I can't believe it. Mike Renner with the latest, getting us ready. You can hear more from Mike. Check out Pushing the Pile, their latest pod. It's Mike and Kyle Long, joined by a cast and crew over there. AFC teams' best and worst case scenarios for 2025. It's a great listen. Check it out today.